I've got 8 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock. Well, actually, let me take that back. It might not be 8 o'clock where you are, but it is 8 o'clock here, and there's a lot to go through, so I want to get started. Let me first just start off by saying I'm really excited about doing these webinars. I love sharing information with people. I just feel very fortunate to have had some success. And I know what it's like to get started. It's really hard, and I wish I had somebody who could have helped me along a little bit. It would have saved me a lot of time and effort. So anyhow, I just wanted to say that, and also just to welcome people from literally around the world. And that's one of the things that's so cool about being able to do these things online. So for my friends who are in Australia, good morning. I know you're getting ready for lunch pretty soon. For my friends in South Africa, it's really early in the morning, and hopefully you'll get some sleep and you can sleep in a little bit. And I've got people literally from around the world attending tonight. So anyhow, thank you for being here. I'm Aaron Marcus. Can't wait to get started. So let's officially get going. And before I forget, also wanted to let you know, I decided to do something a little bit different. Normally for my webinars, I just go straight through my 30-minute talk, and that's where things end. I had a few people ask me if there was a possibility of being able to ask some questions. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. At the very end, when I am done, feel free to write in your questions, or you can write them in anytime you want. And I mean, depending on how many we get, I mean, there are lots of people here. I'll do my best at getting through a bunch of them. And so anyhow, feel free to do that. So let's get going. The 4 secrets to getting acting and modeling jobs. Okay, so let me just click on here. Before we officially get going, I think I'm probably one of the few actors in this world who really doesn't like talking about himself. I'm really not that interesting of a guy, to tell you the truth, but I do want to share some information with you just in case there's something that I experienced that maybe you want to learn more about, and this will give you an opportunity to ask me later about it. So I've been very fortunate. I've been a full-time actor and a commercial model for over 30 years. And for acting work, I try to do everything I possibly can. Everything from, I had a recurring role in this season of the Netflix show House of Cards. It's season 4. They're going to be showing, I assume, season 5 pretty soon. I know they wrapped a little while ago. I'm still hoping they bring me back, but so far for season, well, I don't want to say anything about season 5. But anyhow, I was in season 4, recurring role. I've been on Gotham, Halt and Catch Fire, Rectify. Years ago, did West Wing, The Wire. I do industrial films, which are training films, educational films. I do voiceover work, TV commercials. I've been cast in everything from Coca-Cola to Red Roof Inn, and just tons of different kinds of commercials as well. For commercial modeling, it runs the gamut. And that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about tonight. And you'll see the difference between commercial modeling and fashion modeling. And I've done, as you can see, I just listed a couple things, McDonald's. I also did another one for Coca-Cola, AT&T, Campbell's, Marriott, Molson Beer. I've done tons of different, just hundreds and hundreds of commercial modeling jobs. And I am the author of, it's a really great book, How to Become a Successful Actor and Model. Once again, this is something I wish I had when I first started, because in this book, I walk you through the entire process, step by step. I hold your hand, and you will learn everything from learning specifically how to put together effective headshots, not just good headshots, but effective ones that grab the attention of industry professionals, how to prepare, how to find the photographer, putting together strong commercial photos, which is something most people really just don't know about, and that's giving you your best chance of getting work as a commercial model. How to deal with contracts, how to deal with model release forms, how to market yourself, find agents in different markets, auditioning for film and television, shooting auditions from home. This book will be invaluable to you. And I am also a mentor, and I set aside 5 days a month to work with people individually online. I have different mentoring programs, and you can learn more about that. I also offer a season pass membership where every month I interview a different industry professional, or I give my own webinar. They're all recorded. You can download them 24/7. You can watch them anywhere you want. You have complete access to them. And also every month, we get together for an online meetup session where you can ask me questions. You have access to me all the time. And I also created something that I'll tell you about at the very end called the Starter Kit, the Acting and Modeling Starter Kit, which will be invaluable to you. So, acting and modeling is not easy. Well, you probably didn't need to take this webinar to understand that. One of the things that I find is that there are some actors who I've met who only want to do acting, and that's what their focus is, and that's absolutely fine. I know people who only want to do modeling, have no interest in acting. And what I found is that they both overlap. Commercial modeling and acting are really the same for me. I just don't have to memorize lines. And what I have found is that since work is really unreliable in the sense, unless you are producing, writing, creating your own projects, we don't know when they're going to happen. And so when opportunities do make themselves available to you, you want to be prepared. So I decided very early on, I wanted to do acting and commercial modeling. And what I found is that sometimes there's a lot of acting work and not that much commercial print. Sometimes there's more commercial modeling, commercial print, same thing, not as much acting. Sometimes there are certain markets that I work in, because I work in a variety of markets. Sometimes there's more work in one area than the other. So if you become more versatile, then that way you have more opportunity. So when things come up, you will be ready. Okay. So the one proven formula to having success is to increase your versatility. And that way, you never know what can happen. I've booked commercial modeling jobs that have turned into national television commercials. And I've booked national television commercials where the client wanted to have me as part of their print campaign. So once again, you can do whatever you would like. My suggestion is learn about both. Make yourself available, make yourself more versatile. So the first part that I want to get started with is showing techniques for actors to get commercial modeling work. Now, if you are primarily a model, commercial model, do not fall asleep on me. There are probably a lot of things in here that you've never heard of before and you might not be familiar with, so stick around because this will be really helpful to you. So very quickly, let me just, in a brief way, describe and explain what is commercial modeling. One of the ways to start off doing that is to tell you a little bit about the fashion world and what the difference is. So fashion modeling, those are very tall women. You're going to be between 5'9" and 6 feet tall. And by the way, yes, there are some exceptions to the rule, not that many. Pretty much every supermodel that you know of, that you see that's doing runway work, is between 5'9" and 6 feet tall. Typically, their measurements are 34, 24, 34, and then you have to have a very specific look. Every fashion agency wants a certain look in their models, so it's hard. You know, you have to be born with, you know, certain genes so that you can even be considered for fashion work. For guys, you're going to be between 6 feet and 6 feet 2, wear a size 40 jacket. And just so you know, the reason why the numbers are so specific, it's because the designers believe that their samples will look best in a certain size. So essentially, you have to fit into their samples. They don't make samples for the models. That's why those numbers are so unusual. It's kind of like being an NBA basketball player. Yeah, there are some people in this world who are 6'10" and can run up and down the court and hit three-pointers all day, but there aren't that many. They get paid incredibly well. There's very high-profile people, but it's unusual. And it's the same in the fashion world. Now, there's a whole other world of modeling out there. It has nothing to do with fashion. It's called commercial modeling. And that's what I want to share some information with you about. That's what I do. Commercial models run the gamut. There are beautiful women who are commercial models. There are really handsome guys. Maybe the people who are doing ads for cruise lines, for high-end watches, for expensive cars. Typically, those are going to be beautiful people, people with great bodies who are doing exercise kind and fitness kind of work. And the thing that's also interesting with commercial modeling is you don't have to be. You can look like a regular person. You can be unattractive, you can be okay looking, you can be tall, you can be short, you can be heavy, you can be in great shape. It all depends on the project. So, and the other thing too is, unlike the fashion world, where if you haven't already made it in the fashion world, at least for women, by age 21, you're probably not going to get work. In the commercial modeling world, I've worked with infants, I've worked with kids who are 3 months old, I've worked with people in their 80s. So essentially, if you're breathing and you can make it to a photographer's studio, there's a possibility you could get commercial modeling work. So let me show you some of the ways to do that. And here are 2 techniques. One is, it's my recall method. And once again, this is based on my acting work. And the very first thing that I do, if I am attending a go-see is the audition for models. It's kind of silly why they call them go. I think they're afraid that we're going to freak out if we're going to an audition. I'm not an actor, I can't do an audition. It's an audition, but they call them go-sees. They call them go-sees because you go and you're seen. You go to a photographer studio, sometimes a casting facility, and you're seen. So if it's a go-see, very first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to walk in there, I'm going to ask the photographer when it's my turn to be photographed, what are you looking for? So if I'm a doctor, let's say that's the role that I'm auditioning for, the photographer might say, because I'm going to ask him, what's going on with the doctor? And then the photographer might say, you're happy. Okay, so as an actor, that doesn't tell me anything, because what does being happy mean? What does being sad mean? What does being frustrated mean? Those things are meaningless to me. I need to get that other additional information. Why am I happy? Why am I sad? Why am I frustrated? Why am I excited? So I always ask, so what are you looking for? And if he says you're happy, and I do this in a very gentle way. I don't go into an explanation about, well, I'm an actor, it's really important. I just say, actually, could you tell me why this guy's happy? And be prepared. You're going to hear one of 2 things. Either you're going to have the photographer say some great information, like, for instance, well, this is a new pharmaceutical product. It's going to alleviate all the side effects that the older medication had, and it's less expensive. Your patients are going to be really happy. I'm going, great. Now I know what I need to do. Now I know why I'm happy, because I'm helping my patients. Or you could get a response, I don't know why you're happy. Could I just see happy? In which case, I don't explain, I don't battle. I make a decision. Just like for any acting audition, I make a decision as to what I'm going to do with this character. Might be right, might be wrong. In most cases, it really doesn't matter because, and I'm jumping a little, but if it's an acting audition, if you physically look right for the part, you give an interesting read, it's believable, you're creating some life in the character, that should at least get you a callback. And when you go to the callback, when they want to see you again, that's where you'll get more specific information. Never do this for both acting and commercial modeling auditions or go-sees. Play it safe. Never try to not make a mistake, not to give the wrong kind of look. So you kind of give more of a generic look so you don't make an error there. Never do that because it's going to be boring. It's not going to be interesting. So if I'm not getting any specific information from the photographer, I'll make a decision why I'm happy. Then what I do is I'm going to slightly look away from the camera. It might be just something as short as this away from the camera. And I've already done my homework, and you'll read all about this in my book, your homework assignment. But essentially, I'm going to think of a real experience in my life that will give me the emotion that I'm looking for. Then I will very silently say a word or 2 or make a sound, whatever it takes for me to relive that experience. Bring it back up to the camera. So I'm just making something up. I'm really happy. This thing is really great. I'm excited for my patients. I might look away. This is great. Boom, there's the shot. Now, I'm going to look away again. I'll say a word or two if it's an actual job and I'm showing a lot of expressions and emotions. But for the go-see, typically it's going to be, one or a couple of shots. Look away, say a word or two, retrieve that experience so that it can bring that emotion back to you, then bring it up to the camera. If for any reason the photographer doesn't want to hear anything or anything like that, just use, it's called an internal monologue, where you think the words to yourself. But that's how you create an interesting look. That's how you make your face and your body look believable. Because if you look like a model and you just kind of give a cheesy smile, it's not interesting. Okay, so let me show you a couple of quick examples of using this technique in real ads. So as you can see here, I'm frustrated, and I showed many different layers of frustration here. Everything from being so angry I just wanted to throw the table over, throw something through the window, or something where I'm just overwhelmed. This was a really interesting pharmaceutical ad where it's for medication for people with bad livers, and essentially they made, the makeup artist was great. She had an anatomy book. She made my face look like a bad liver. That's what bad livers look like. It's that purpley blotchy thing. And the whole concept is we can't see our liver, so we don't take care of it. And this is a new medication that's going to treat liver disease. And I gave many different looks, from giving up, thinking I'm dying, I'm going to fight through this, I'm nervous, I'm a little scared, I still feel there's some hope. And anyhow, it was a really interesting shoot. Here's a great example of when you use this technique, you can create this wide range of looks. So I look different from shot to shot to shot to shot, and it's not because I have special technique. It's just because I use these skills that I've developed, and it allows me to look different. I become a chameleon, and even though there was nothing in my portfolio that made me look like a rock grunge guitarist from Molson Beer, the photographer saw my work, saw this wide range, and knew that I could pull it off with the right wig, the right makeup. Anyhow, that was a really, really fun day. This is a very different look for me. How women have really long fingernails, I don't know. I was poke my eyes out. I did break a nail once going to opening up a door going to the restroom. That was a really, really fun shoot. So here's the other key thing for actors to get commercial modeling work. You don't want to just give this one look. You want to show a variety of expressions and emotions, so that when you are actually, now for a go-see, once again, you're going to basically have one shot, maybe a couple shots, but when you are on the set, you've been booked, you want to give the photographer choices, the art and creative director from ad agencies, lots of choices. That's how you get hired back. That's how you get repeat business. That's how I've booked over 1,200 jobs, because quite often, it's like anything in sales. You sell a good product, people like it, of course they're going to want to buy from you again. You go out on a fun date, you have a good time, of course somebody's going to ask you out again. And it's the same thing for doing good acting or modeling work. So show them lots of choices, and you can do that by slightly varying the experiences. Use your acting skills, and that's how you create powerful looks in your pictures. Here's the other aspect of it, and this is what most people are simply clueless about. Make all of your photos look like ads. A lot of times, and I understand it, especially when you're first getting started, you go see a photographer, you put together some, pretty basic shots. If you are a business person, you'll wear a business suit, maybe you're sitting at a laptop. Maybe you think you should be a doctor, so you'll sit there or stand there with a lab coat and a stethoscope, and you're smiling into the lens of the camera. Yeah, but you're doing an exercise shot. You stand there and you're holding, a weight in your hand. That's what most people do. It's the most economical way to do it, because you're going to get a bunch of shots done in one day. But let me tell you, the best way is to make every single shot you do look like an ad. Make it look like an ad for a specific company, a specific product, without using any logos or brand names. That will make the shots look much more powerful, and you're banging them over the head with the look. So if you have a shot where you are interacting with a patient, I'm not saying you have to do open heart surgery here, that's not going to be all that easy to do, but certainly you could be examining a patient, maybe you could be doing blood pressure tests on somebody, taking their pulse, with your lab coat on, or maybe you're a teacher and you are standing in front of a classroom and you're talking to maybe just 3 kids, but it looks like it's, the classroom is full. Make the shots look like an ad. And so let me just show you a couple of examples. Here's a great shot, and what this woman did in this ad was she actually was able to combine 2 different looks. Because once again, bang people over the head with the looks. Teach them how you should be cast. I would cast this woman as a mom. I would cast her as a business person. And this could be, let's say this was a test shot for you. Let's just say it's not an actual ad, but this could be an ad for a daycare center. Maybe it's some kind of program that makes work more efficient. You can spend more time with your family. So what you can do is actually get ideas from existing ads and use it as your template. Here's another interesting shot. Remember, you are not going to have any of the headlines. You're not going to have any of the copy. You're not going to have any products in there. All you would have in this one is just this kind of setup here, and that could be a powerful shot, because this could be an ad. Look, you don't have to flatten your tire, just have your hood up and you're on the side of the road. It could be for AAA, it could be for AARP road service, it could be for a tire company, maybe an auto mechanic, a body shop person, and you can set these shots up yourself, but let other people teach you how to do it. Here's a very old test shot. At this time period in my life, I was the young dad. I wanted to get more shots done and more ads as the young dad. So instead of forcing people to use their imagination, what I actually did was I set up a shot. My son didn't charge me anything. I did hire a photographer. And I set up this test shot where I was thinking this could be an ad for 529 plan. Start saving for college education. Maybe it's a reading program for young kids. And that started getting me more work as the young dad. Okay, techniques for models on how to get acting work. So for all you actors out there, don't sleep. This stuff will change your life. Okay, so let's say you get the opportunity to audition. Congratulations. It's hard to get auditions. You got it. Very first thing you want to do is read the copy. Read the sides. The sides are, and there are 2 different terms here. Copy typically are the words in a TV commercial. Sides, typically the words for film and television. So when you first get the sides, read everything. Read your lines, read the other person's lines, read any notes that you might see in there, and read it all the way through. The other thing is, as you're reading it, don't try to begin acting. That's a mistake that a lot of actors do, and they immediately start getting into character. You don't know where this character is going. You don't know what you're going to do with this character yet. So read it like it's a grocery list. This is how I would do it. So if this page were my sides, this is how I would read it. Prepare for your audition. Read sides. Copy. That's how I'm reading it. I would read it that way a couple of times just to make sure that I've got all the words. If there are any words you don't understand, look it up. If you're not sure how to pronounce any of the words, make sure you get that information. If you don't get the sides or the copy until you show up at the audition, and let's say it's a TV commercial, and you're not sure how to pronounce the name of the product, ask the casting director. Any good question that will help your audition, great casting directors will appreciate, and they're more than happy to answer them for you. So if there's a word, and sometimes it's a little embarrassing, I've gone in and I've done some things that was kind of technical stuff, and I wasn't sure what a word meant. Thought so, but I wasn't 100% sure. I would ask, and even though it's a little embarrassing sometimes, not knowing what a word means, you've got to know what the word means if you want to use it. Okay, second thing you're going to be doing, answer the 5 W's. Who, what, where, when, why. Very specifically. This holds true for every audition you do. Number 1, who are you talking to? And don't just, if it's a TV commercial, don't just say, well, I'm talking to the people watching the TV commercial. That's not the right answer, because your way of reading the lines will be affected by who you're reading to, who you're talking to. You need to make a specific decision as to who in your real life are you having this conversation with? Because let's say you are reading to you decided you're going to read to some guy who you dated for 4 years and sent you a text message one day saying, "Hey Jane, it's been a really fun 4 years, but I just decided to go in another direction. Best of luck to you." Okay, most likely, unless you really didn't like the guy, you're not going to be really thrilled with this human. So you're probably going to read things in a very different way than if you're reading to somebody that you just started dating and you're really feeling something for. Or maybe you're reading to a parent, maybe you're reading to a sibling, maybe you're reading to somebody who you're jealous of, maybe, whatever it is, you're going to read it differently. So you have to make that decision, who you're reading to. What are you talking about? And that will be evident in the sides. Where is this taking place? The reason why that's so important is because depending on where it's happening, it's going to change the way you read it. You want to create your audition so that the director, the casting director, and the director believes that you're doing the scene. So imagine if you're doing the scene as you're walking down 7th Avenue in New York and you're going, you're 34th Street, 33rd Street, going right by Penn Station. Well, you're going to read very differently than if you're talking to somebody in your kitchen who might be sitting 2 feet away from you and it's just the two of you. You don't have to scream. There's not going to be that much noise, hopefully. So you make that decision. Where is this taking place? What time? When is this happening? Is this happening at 4 a.m.? Is it happening at 12 in the afternoon? Once again, it's going to affect things. And then why? Why are you saying these things? So let's get back to the TV commercial concept. So let's say this is a cosmetic product, and you have a friend. Every couple months, couple times a year, something breaks out on her face. She feels embarrassed. She doesn't even want to go outside. She can't cover it up. She feels horrible about it. Here's a new product that will cover it up. And you know how great this is going to be for her, how wonderful she's going to be feeling. Well, you're going to feel that passion and that caring for that person who you're talking to as you're doing the read. That's why you need to know why. The other thing that's really important that a lot of actors don't even really think of is you got to take a step back and think, what is going on in this character's life prior to the scene starting and what happens right after the scene ends. So like for instance, if you know your very first line is you're going to a meeting, you're running late, and your first line is, "Look, I'm really sorry, I apologize for being 5 minutes late." Okay, so by knowing that, you are going to know that your prior life, before your first word is said, you're racing in there, you feel horrible, you're feeling tense. So you're not going to say that first line in a really laid back way. You're going to be feeling those kinds of emotions, of that pressure and embarrassment maybe of being late for a job, for a meeting. So that's why you always need to create a life for your character prior to the scene starting and create a life after it ends. And normally I will extend my audition by about 2 seconds. Could be 3 after the scene ends. So that way, if the people are really enjoying my audition, I don't want to just cut it after the last word. It's kind of jolting that way. However, if let's say the last line somebody's reading to me and they say, "All right, well, listen, let's continue talking about this tomorrow. I got to go." And they walk out. So what I will do is, now typically I'm not going to be, if it's film or TV, I'm not looking to the camera like I am right now. I'll be talking to a reader. And after that scene is done, I'm going to follow that person out of the room. Not that far, but I'll just follow them out like that. And then depending on what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling after that conversation, then I'll bring it back up here. But I will definitely extend it for a couple of seconds. Those are so crucial. Now, this is great, and I wish I knew this at the very beginning of my career. I took workshops, read things in books, and this stuff is so great. When you're doing, let's say it's a commercial, and let's say your line is, "This is great, can we have it again tomorrow?" Now for a TV commercial, you're going straight into the camera. Not only do you have to stare in the camera the entire time, certainly you can look away and come back, but unlike TV and film where you never look in the camera except for a few minor exceptions, you're addressing the camera for a TV spot. So here's what you want to do for every TV commercial that you audition for. And I use this even for other kinds of auditions as well. I think of a word or a sound to make that gives me a reason to say that first line. This is great. Those are the first couple words. So what I will do is I did my 5 W's, and I might slightly look away from the camera, and I might even say the word wow. Now, I'm not going to say it loud. It's not part of the dialogue. It's really just for me. It's giving me a reason to say that first line. So I might do, this is great. Can we have it again tomorrow? All of a sudden, now there's a reason. And just by saying the word wow, it changes things for me. So that is something you definitely want to practice. But here's another part, and this is so cool. It's a minor thing, but it's huge, and it will make a big difference. I always split the first word in half. And what I mean by that is I will say the word wow, or whatever the key word is for me, slightly off. Then I will say the first half of the word off camera and finish it into the camera. So it's going to go like this. This is great. Can we have it again tomorrow? Now, by splitting it up and starting the word down here and bringing it up here, all of a sudden I am inviting you into my conversation. If I just start off, this is great, can we have it again tomorrow? All right, you see it, you hear it. But see, most commercials that you watch, and I'm throwing out a number, I don't have statistics, I would say probably about 95% of the commercials you watch, they're lifestyle. And it's not banging people over the head with a product, it's getting a glimpse into somebody's life. And when you drink this certain drink on the beach with all of your friends, you are going to be cool. You want to be cool, well, then you have to drink, this kind of soft drink. So basically what you're doing is you are inviting people into your personal conversation here. And you do that by starting off down here, finishing that first word up here. And what you can do is, if you practice this at home, just take a cell phone, and just put it in front of you and try it all different kinds of ways. Straight into the camera, then do it with just the keyword, or just the keyword and then say it, or the keyword and then split the first word in half. I'm telling you, it's a huge difference. Okay, let me start wrapping up here. So, like I was saying before, it's all about versatility. Open yourself up, because you just never know what might happen for you. And especially when you're doing commercial print and acting, you're covering a lot of bases there. So what else can you do? So I wanted to mention to you a couple of products that will be incredibly helpful to you. And one of them, I am offering a 50% discount. There's a video that I created. It's the Audition Secrets video. Here are some of the things that you're going to learn in there. So what do you do when you first hear about the audition? How to prepare for the audition? Should you really be memorizing your lines? What kind of wardrobe should you be wearing? How to use and harness your nervousness and use it to your advantage. What do you do when you first arrive at the casting? How do you even physically hold the copy? What do you need to do after the audition? And there's so much more in there. So you should have the link for it. I will be sending it out again, but you just go to howtoactandmodel.com/audition_secrets. And like I said, you'll get a 50% discount when you order that video. Here's the other thing that I wanted to share with you, and I am so excited about this. I know it's really tough for actors and models to have success. Whether you're just getting started or you've been in the industry for a while and you feel like you're ready to start taking on bigger and better kinds of jobs. What I created was the Acting and Modeling Starter Kit, and I have greatly reduced this thing for you. The very first thing you're going to get is a 30-minute private mentoring session with me. So, I mean, as you know, I charge for the mentoring sessions, absolutely free. And I've got some very specific ideas of what I'd like to talk with you about, but it's completely up to you. You know, I'll tell you what I think would be really helpful, but you tell me what you want to learn as well. So we will pick and choose whatever is best for you, set up a time, we'll do it. You also will get a free e-version of my book, How to Become a Successful Actor and Model. You will also automatically become a Season Pass member for 2017. Actually, the Season Pass membership is more costly than the Actor and Model Starter Kit. I mean, the Starter Kit, you're going to get over $1,000 worth of products for just $295. In this Season Pass membership, every month, I either interview an industry professional or I create an online workshop myself, and you're going to learn from different individuals every month throughout 2017. I just did one spoke to a great manager in LA. Talk about, do you need a manager? What does a manager do? How do you find one? What kind of questions do you want to ask a manager? What kind of answers should you expect to get? I also just interviewed a headshot photographer who has shot literally over 16,000 headshots. And we talked in detail how to create an effective headshot, how to find headshot photographer, how to prepare, how to make sure that you're getting the kind of shots that you need. It's an amazing, amazing interview. The one I just did for March, having success at go-sees. Everything from what do you do as soon as you hear about the go-see, how do you prepare, what do you need to do when you arrive at the photographer studio or the casting facility, techniques to use during the go-see, what do you do after the go-see. I'm also going to be interviewing people who will teach actors and models how to use social media for marketing. I'm going to be interviewing a guy who was on Broadway. He's done tons of television shows. He's going to talk about auditioning for film. And so every month you will be getting these videos that you can download. You can also, even if you don't have Wi-Fi available at that moment, you can download it and watch it anywhere that you want, 24/7. And the other thing too is, and this is cool, every month we get together online, just Season Pass members. If you have any specific questions, fire away, or you can write to me ahead of time in case you can't make it live, and I'll send you the recording of it. Or if there's some topics you want me to discuss, I'll do that as well for you every month. And here's the other thing, and this is just absolutely incredible. I had an acting and modeling summit where I interviewed 28 industry professionals, and I interviewed everyone from film and TV director, casting director, agent, someone who works with actors, a dialect coach, a guy who was on Broadway, talked about the experience. There are just, even if you were an athlete, I interviewed an agent. She has a company where she hires athletes for TV shows, for films, for commercials. It is an amazing, and actually this is almost $500 just for this video series from the summit. So anyhow, and you have these things accessed, they'll be accessible 24/7. It's really an incredible opportunity for you. And what I'm also going to do, you can just go to howtoactandmodel.com/starter_kit. You should have received in the handout, which you can download all of these links, and I'll send you some additional information. If you sign up for the starter kit within 24 hours, this time tomorrow, I will actually extend that 30-minute private mentoring session with me to a full hour. That's $100 savings right there. So if you're really interested in trying to either break in to the acting and modeling world, or you want to jumpstart your career to the next level, seriously consider the Actor and Model Starter Kit. It will be invaluable to you. And honestly, just the sessions with me alone, having access to me and being able to answer your questions, that alone would pay for it. But you get all these other products along with it. Okay, so what I want to do next is, and I just want to share this with you, here's my contact information. I will be sending you a bunch of the slides either tomorrow or by Friday, so that way you can go over these things as well. So what I'd like to do now is I want to open things up and go for any questions that you might have. So if you do have a question, here we go. Actually, it looks like you started to send them in. So if you do have some other questions, I will continue to answer them for you. So let me start off here. How do you get breakdowns for bigger roles? Okay, that's a great question. And by the way, I'm not going to use any names here, so feel free to send in anything, even if it's kind of a personal question. I won't identify you in any way. So you've got a couple of options. I know a lot of times people use places like 800 Casting. They might use Actors Access or Backstage. And you will find roles there, but typically those are not going to be the bigger ones. The one exception is sometimes when the casting director is having some issues filling a role, they will open it up to a much larger market and start sending it out. So to answer your question more specifically, really the best way is to have an agent who is submitting you. Because I can tell you from taking workshops with casting directors, for bigger roles, they typically, and once again, there are some exceptions, they typically go through agents. So your agent needs to have access to the breakdowns. And then your agent has to submit you. Now, and I know I'm kind of going into other areas here a little bit, but that is why your headshot is so crucial. Typically, for submissions, you will have either anywhere between 500 and 1,500 submissions per role. And I'm not exaggerating, depending on the project, depending on the location. So your headshot isn't a little thumbnail. And that's why, especially in today's time period, your headshot needs to be powerful. And once again, in my book, in this workshop that I just did, you're going to learn very specifically how to create effective headshots. So what happens is your agent needs to have access to one of these breakdown services and basically start submitting to casting directors. Your agent also needs to have some kind of contact with a casting director. Some casting directors are very picky, and there are certain agents they will accept submissions from, some of them they won't. So the best thing that you can do is to have your agent start submitting you for those kinds of roles. And just make sure that you're prepared so that if you actually do, get submitted and you are one of the 30 people, and once again, those numbers will vary a little bit, but typically they're going to request about 30 people per role out of the 500 to 1,500. Just make sure that you are prepared. And one of the other items that you'll be learning in the book, how to become a successful actor or model, is how to shoot auditions from home. Because I can tell you, in today's time period, not so much for New York and LA. And once again, yes, there are some exceptions where sometimes you can do that, but most of the time for New York and LA and Chicago, they want you to be there. But there are markets like Atlanta, in Louisiana, where all of my auditions, even a lot of times North Carolina, all of my auditions are done at home, online, and they just get uploaded. Now, you do have to be prepared to go to a callback if they liked your initial audition, but you need to learn how to shoot great auditions from home. And yes, some people will go out and pay somebody to do it, which is fine. And there are some advantages to that, but you don't have to spend the money. And sometimes it's not even so much the money, it's just the time involved. If you have the right equipment, which doesn't have to cost you a fortune, and you know how to do it, you know how to do basic editing, and once again, you read all about it in the book. But anyhow, that's what you want to do. Okay, let me take a peek here and see. Yes. So what is the best way to start a monologue? Great question. So, and I'm so glad you asked that, because typically when I'm doing private mentoring with people, if they are working on a monologue, I will ask them, who are you talking to? And so typically what people will say is, well, I'm talking to this character James, the other person in this play, or I'm talking to myself. And that's not the right answer. The right answer is you need to be thinking of someone specifically in your life who you're having this conversation with, someone that makes sense for the character. And the other thing that you want to do with the monologue that people sometimes make a mistake with is they start playing the room when they're doing their monologue. Let's say there are a bunch of casting directors there or a bunch of agents, and people will start doing their monologue like this, and they're talking to someone. The problem is, unless that person is running back and forth in the room, it doesn't make any sense. Always pick a spot where that person is, and if there are people in the room who you are reading for, then my suggestion is do not look them in the eyes. Sometimes people just feel a little creeped out by that. Personally, it doesn't bother me, but some people don't like it. So if as I'm looking into the camera, if that's where the agent is who's watching me do my monologue, I'm actually going to read it up like this, or maybe like this, slightly above their head. So that way it still kind of looks like you're looking in their direction, but you're not staring in their eyes. Make a pinpoint spot as to where that character is, and if the person is seated, make sure you don't make the mistake of looking down, because then they're just going to see your forehead. So they can be seated right over here, they can still see you. Okay, let me do just a few more of these. Actually, this is always kind of scary. You never know what kind of question is going to pop up here. What is your opinion? Websites where you have to pay a monthly fee or 99 cents to submit your headshot and resume. Yeah, sure. Well, look, most of the places that you go to, you will pay a fee. Now, you can, and look, I could do a whole workshop just on websites, but like for instance, I'll pick a couple of them. So 800 casting, and I think it's like $49.95 for the year, and then you have unlimited access to submit auditions, submit reels, and things like that. So it's a very, very inexpensive way of doing it, and they're mostly based in the Southeast. I mean, they're also in Europe, but in the U.S. it's mostly Southeast, the Southeastern market. There are places like Actors Access. So for a place like Actors Access, and once again, I don't know, but I'm assuming that the majority of the auditions that you're going to get from Actors Access, so once again, let me just put a little disclaimer, I'm not 100% sure, it's going to be either New York or LA. I think you can pinpoint where you want the auditions from. I don't know how many auditions they would have from, for Miami or for Louisiana. Maybe they do have tons, I'm not sure. But what you can do is you can actually sign up on Actors Access free, no charge at all. I think you can have one photo up there absolutely free. And then every time you submit yourself, I think you pay $1.99. So what you can do is start off with a free account and then see how many times are you actually submitting. And I know there's also, if you do have a reel, which I do recommend that you do put together, because from what I've been told, at least with Actors Access, casting directors typically will only look at submissions from people who have reels. At least that's the first group of people. If they still haven't seen people they want, then they'll go to people who have a slate, where in like a couple of seconds you say your name and things like that. And I think after that, I don't know how much they look at people. So you definitely want to have a reel. They do charge, it's like $25 a minute to upload your reel. So if your reel is 2 minutes, which it shouldn't be, that would be $50, but it really shouldn't be more than a minute. And if you have the free service, every time you submit your reel, I think it's $5. Or you could pay, it's somewhere around $68 for the year, and then it's unlimited submissions. So, and that includes your reel. So, yeah, look, I know people, and there's casting networks. I mean, there are people I know who have gotten work from those things. And look, it's a decision that you need to make. I mean, just do some math and see, does it really make sense? I mean, you got to give it at least a year and kind of see what happens there. So anyhow, it's a great question. They can be helpful. There's also Backstage. They also offer auditions. And I know sometimes they have these deals. It's like $99 for the year. So, check it out. And I'm not an accountant, but depending on how you have your taxes set up, that could be a business write-off for you. Actually, there's a great webinar about doing your taxes. It's on the store page of howtoactamodel.com. Okay, let's go to, let me do a couple more here. Okay. How do you come across a great agent? Okay. So, look, there are great agents out there. I work with some agents who I really, really, really like. So what you need to do is, once again, once you read my book, How to Become a Successful Actor or Model, it's going to walk you through that process. How to find the agent, what kind of questions you want to ask. You can find agents by going to, and I don't know how long I'm going to keep this up there as a free service, but right now, if you go to howtoactamodel.com, you will find an agent. There's a tab at the top. You will find over 400 agents there. You'll find agents from every state in the U.S. I also have some contacts outside the U.S. as well, but it's mostly U.S. people. I also have a disclaimer. Certainly I don't work with over 400 agents. I can tell you though, and I spent months, and I still work on it, months and months and months, checking out every single website for the agents before I actually place them on my site. So I think that every person there is a very legitimate agent, but what you want to do is check them out, know what kind of questions to ask them, look at their website, see if you can see the actors and models they represent. You don't always have access to it. Some of them have passwords that they only give out to photographers or casting directors, but check it out and look at the headshots. Even if you don't know much about photography, you're going to know, is this like a picture that somebody's grandmother took in their backyard, or does it look like a professional headshot? So if you're seeing really good photos, they're not making any promises, they're not charging you upfront fees, then check them out and see if you can find out how they want you to submit to them, and hopefully you get a chance to meet them in person. Okay, let me check out a couple more here. How often do you update your headshots? Commercial still shots are are both of these strictly with your agents who are submitting you? Okay, great question too. So there are a couple of different time periods. Number one, for a headshot, when you are beginning to not look like your headshot, dump it. It's time for a new one. You need to make sure that you look like your headshot. I remember once being on a set, and a person was booked directly from their headshot. Person walked in, and the photographer, because he was just looking at headshots, looked at the headshot, looked at the person, and said, "Who are you?" The person's headshot must have been 15 years old. I mean, the guy really did look completely different. Was like almost entirely bald. He had hair in his head. It was not a good situation. They fired the guy, and they did find somebody else very quickly. So when you're just beginning not to look like your headshot, or if you're finding that your headshot isn't getting you auditions, then it's time to get a new headshot. For commercial shots, well, if your shots that you initially got were test shots, then once you start doing ads and you're getting tear sheets, copies of the ads, that would be a time to actually start putting together a new portfolio, start uploading new pictures onto your agent's website. Or if you just start getting better and more interesting shots that show a wider range of looks, that would be a time to start changing your commercial shots. And I didn't quite understand, and are both of these strictly with your agents who are submitting you? I'm sorry, I don't fully understand what that means, but certainly any time that you do get new photos, show them to your agent. and see if your agent wants to use them on their website. How do you do a reel? Oh boy. I'm going to have to do a short version. I think, because actually it's almost 9 o'clock now, I think this is going to have to be the last question for the evening. So there are companies that will produce a reel. Some people will do a monologue. Some people will take something from a play that they were in, have it recorded. Honestly, I don't think those are the best things for you. Typically, what casting directors say that they want to see is an actual project. So if you don't have anything, nothing from a film, for a television show, a commercial, then here's what I would suggest doing. Get in touch with your local college or university or community college, see if they offer film classes. Find the film classes where students have to shoot student films. Bring them your headshot, tell them you're really interested in being a part of a student film. Have them send you some of their scripts. Make sure you're comfortable with it, because who knows what a student might be putting together. And if so, be in some student films. That is a great way to build up your resume and start taking clips from those shoots and put them on your reel. You can, if you do 2 films, you can take 15 seconds, 20 seconds from each one. If you want, maybe 25 seconds. You really don't want this to be longer than an hour. Now, if the films just look horrible, then I wouldn't use it. But as long as they look decent, and I've done some student films over the years, and some of these are really good. So that's a great way to build up your reel. There are companies that you can actually send footage to, and they will create it. As a matter of fact, I interviewed somebody for one of my workshops. Feel free to email me. I'm more than happy to send you some contact information if you'd like to do that. So look, I've got to wind things up here right now. Just wanted to tell you, this was a really great session. Loved your questions, really enjoyed sharing this information with you. I also, now that you're on my special email list, I'm going to be doing some workshops in a number of different areas, and I will send you information. I know that I'm going to be in South Carolina, and I'll send you, I'm really excited about this one, on May 13th, and I'll send you the details. I'm going to be in St. Louis for actually it's a photographers convention. In April, and I'm going to be talking not only with photographers but also models who are being brought into this photographers convention, and teaching them how to prepare for shooting with photographer, how to work with them on a set. It's going to be really a lot of fun. And in about I guess 12, 13 days, I'm being brought to Johannesburg in South Africa to do some workshops, and that's going to be a really interesting experience. It's always fun to meet people, different countries, different cultures, and but one thing that I always find, wherever I go, we're all the same. We're all humans. We're all trying to live a good life and enjoy ourselves. And so anyhow, it's going to be a long commute to work, flying for over 20 hours each way, but it's going to be great. And also I'm hoping to be in North Carolina, hoping to be in the Boston area as well. And I'll send you details as soon as they're put together. And like I said, always feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions at all. And don't forget to check out those links. The starter kit will be an invaluable resource to you. I'm Aaron Marcus. Have a great rest of your evening or day, depending on where you're living. And I really look forward to talking with you soon. See ya.